Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited that you could be here. I'm on the road today, so don't mind my background. A little bit different from the place that I usually am in than my downtown office in Tampa. And today we are going to dive into one of my favorite ways to be able to get customers. A lot of people don't know this. Credit Suite's been around for 10 years, and we really got our start on YouTube. Now, a lot has changed in the last 10 years, but I can tell you one thing that hasn't changed is if you do YouTube right, then you may not need to do any other form of marketing. And to help make that happen with us today is Nate Woodbury. Now, Nate is a YouTube producer specializing in helping business owners, coaches, and course creators generate leads, clients, and revenue through YouTube. Now, with a portfolio of over 50 different channels, he has helped several YouTube channels generate seven figures monthly from organic leads. Unlike traditional viral focus strategies, Nate teaches a tactical, step-by-step approach that delivers a consistent flow of high-quality leads and appointments without relying on paid ads. Now, as a master of efficiency, Nate is known for developing systems that minimize time and expense while maximizing results. He works with many seven-figure influencers, helping them grow their following and transform their YouTube channels into powerful lead-generating machines. Now, his expertise lies in showing professionals how to leverage their knowledge on YouTube, positioning themselves as the go-to experts in their industry, and creating long-term scalable success. Nate, I'm so excited you can be here. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's an honor to be here. I'm happy to share whatever you'd like.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I mean, I started on YouTube. A lot's changed since then. And so, I don't know, let's start there. Like, what are some of the newest and coolest things that you're seeing happening on YouTube right now?
Well, let me take a step back and compare website SEO because website SEO and YouTube SEO have kind of aligned. In the past, I'll actually say that website SEO doesn't exist anymore because in the past you'd have to create a whole bunch of spam out on the web and point it at your website, and that would make your website rank at the top of Google. Well, now Google doesn't do that. Google is more of a content search engine. And as we know, YouTube is clearly a content search engine that's owned by Google. And so the game has kind of changed in the way of search. And if you have expertise, people are actually searching for that expertise. They go to Google and YouTube all the time and they're typing in questions. And so if you have the answer to the questions, all you have to do now for SEO is make a video that answers that question. You put it on YouTube and you'll get traffic from YouTube and Google that will be high quality. It's a relationship building concept and it really works well for lead generation. So that's what I've really figured out and what I focus on.
So let me ask you this. Based on this, how do you find the best way, or how do you find the questions to answer? Like, how do you find the questions that if you do video topics answering those questions, that YouTube and Google are more inclined to feature you?
Yeah, very, very good question, an important one because there are a lot of tools out there, but because of this shift and change with SEO, a lot of the tools are still outdated. If tools are focusing on, hey, here's a two-word phrase or here's a three-word phrase, calling that a keyword, and they call 5 words long tail, search engines are much more refined now. And so you can find really specific questions that are 8, 9, or 10 words long now that still have consistent search volume every month. So my favorite tool it's called the Hero Keyword Tool. And there's a free trial. This is an affiliate link, but it's so the tool is the Keyword Magic Tool, and the herokeywordtool.com is my affiliate link, but that's just for a free trial. What that tool does is it allows you to put in your topic, and it will find you questions that are 8, 9, or 10 words in length that have consistent search volume, such as how to get your kids to listen without yelling, or how to invest in Airbnb real estate with bad credit, or let's see, what was it? How to carry nutrition during a marathon. I mean, just really specific questions. And so it's a tool like that I use that you can really find hundreds of ways of getting into the head of your target audience and know what they're asking. And so just by making that really specific content, you're able to get in front of them. And the reason that I keep focusing on phrases that are longer, one, it's because it's more specific and you can give them a more helpful answer, but it's also way less competitive. So if you make a video on answering a really specific question, you put that on YouTube, and it's likely that the very next day it's ranking at the top of YouTube for that search. And so just starting to pull in these little trickles of traffic, but super, super valuable traffic. We have many channels that follow this strategy that are pretty small, but are generating 7 and 8 figure revenue streams just from these YouTube leads.
So the idea here is that we're going to go to herokeywordtool.com. We're going to figure out what people are searching for. I'm in the business credit space. So if I'm trying to do a video on business credit, super competitive, right? But if
Mhm.
I'm doing a video on how to build business credit for a brand new LLC, then that's obviously not as popular of people trying to compete in that keyword, then I have a better chance of ranking. So if that's the case, let's say that I use the keyword tool, I figure out what people are actually searching for. Any, it changes all the time. Any idea of what the ideal length of this kind of video should be?
Typically, a long watch time is better. I mean, we're in an age where people think that shorter is better because of TikTok and YouTube Shorts. What's interesting though is if you look at YouTube, ever since YouTube separated a video and a short, videos have trended longer. So a channel that most people know about, Mr. Beast, if you look at the average length of his videos now, they're about double the length than they were 3 years ago. And that's pretty consistent across any channel that I watch. So, and some of those episodes are like 30 or 40 minutes. We don't need to go that long on a YouTube video, but you don't want to go too short as well. You want to give enough content to really give a valuable answer to that question. So 10 minutes we found is a great amount of time that you can give great value, and you have enough time that people feel like they're building a relationship with you. They get to know you a bit.
So, with that being said, figure out what the questions are, answer the question in a video. How does YouTube know that my video is the answer to that question? Am I addressing that in a transcript? Am I addressing it in the title? Like, what's the best way to say to YouTube, hey, I've done this. This question's being asked, and this video answers that question?
So the simplest answer is you have to be patient, which it's hard to do. In old-fashioned SEO, we would create a piece of content or a website, and then we would do SEO to it. We would send out emails, we would do blog commenting, we'd create a secondary site that would link back to it. So we would do all this SEO and put in keywords everywhere. On YouTube, what I've discovered that actually works, because there's still a lot of people on YouTube that are teaching those tactics, but things like the keyword tags, YouTube's even admitted that field they don't even pay attention to anymore. And so if you do the work first of finding these questions that people are searching for, and you build your video around that strategy, then you know you've got this SEO built into it. You're creating content that people are searching for. Now, YouTube automatically transcribes your video. So if you're answering the question of the video and talking about that topic, then you're automatically saying all the right things that really let YouTube know what your video is about. So, like some of these phrases that are, really long, like 8, 9, or 10 words, they might only get 20 searches a month. And people will think, well, why would I waste my time on such a small amount of traffic? Well, if you know that those 20 people are your target avatar, then that's actually pretty valuable. But this is what it looks like. Maybe you only get 20 views from search in that first month, but those 20 people, they're likely to watch your video all the way to the end because it's really valuable to them. And so the algorithm figures out, that's who this video is for. That's the audience for this video. And you might get another 20 views in month 2 from an additional 20 people from search. So now YouTube has a bigger sample size. By month 3, you're typically going to get a higher amount. I'll just say 50 views as an example from search. Over time, it gradually increases and you're getting more and more views from search. Well, you have this marketing machine that's bringing in a trickle of your target audience every month. You can put out a second video. So now you're bringing in 2 trickles of traffic. Now you could create 100 of these videos. Now you've got 100 different trickles of traffic. Well, that adds up to a fire hose. So I was just looking at stats of one of the channels that I produce. It's getting 80,000 views per month from search traffic just because we've created a bunch of these trickles.
I love it. Now, I'm driving traffic to the video. How do I create an engaging video that keeps them longer?
Yeah, so the first part is value, right? And if your video is valuable, then people will like it. But there's something that you need to do at the very beginning of the video to let people know how valuable your video is. So, if your video is answering a question, you're naturally going to say, hey, in this video, we're talking about blank. We're answering this question. And if you look at the content of your video, all the different things that you're going to be sharing, you need to let people know what's coming and do it in a way or say it in a way that creates curiosity. So I can actually demonstrate for you if you'd like. I'll use an example that's not my area of expertise. I'm not a nutritionist, but a friend of mine, Doreen, is. And so she taught me this remedy of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics. So I'll do it first the wrong way, but then I'll demonstrate a better way of how you could start out a video like this. So here's the wrong way of doing it. All right, as we dive into this topic of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics, you're going to need three things. You need some garlic, some raw honey, and some cayenne pepper. And if you mix those things together and take that, it'll get rid of your strep throat. So let's talk about this. All right, so compare that to my second attempt, which is going to be better. All right, as we dive into this topic of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics, first we're going to be talking about why not antibiotics and why you might want to consider an alternative. Then we're going to be talking about three different ingredients. You probably already have these in your kitchen. So we're going to go into the kitchen, we're going to make it, and we're going to talk about dosage. And then we're going to wrap up this video talking about a side effect. When my son was really young, he had strep throat and he had a high fever. So we used this remedy and it worked. But man, he experienced a side effect that you're going to want to know about. So let's dive right in. So do you see how creating some curiosity and setting some hooks in the beginning, it can really make a big difference on people committing. It's like they can see, oh, this is a 10-minute episode. Do I want to spend 10 minutes watching this? And so what you do in the beginning can really set the tone and help them make that commitment.
So, what do you find works better format wise right now? Like I started on YouTube with PowerPoints. I don't see that that's a thing anymore. It seems to be more talking head. But you tell me, are there certain formats that you see are performing really well on YouTube versus other formats?
So in the how-to space, talking head is great. Being conversational versus scripted is definitely ideal. So not scripted. You want to just have a conversation, even if you have bad grammar, even if you need to pause and kind of find the right word. That's how we talk naturally. So that works better for building a relationship. I lost my train of thought on the question, so can remind me.
Well, that's okay. I'm asking about the type of format that works well. Is it talking head? Is it
Yeah.
PowerPoints? Do I need to have a fancy camera? Like what format works best to get people to most engage?
So start with the talking head. And if you're going to use PowerPoint, you know what PowerPoints are extremely boring. And that's when there's just text on the screen and the person is reading them. So just avoid that at all cost. I use PowerPoint when I'm going to show a screenshot of something. Because I talk about YouTube, I'm often showing a screenshot of a thumbnail or the analytics. And then it switches back. So having visuals actually can help if there's something that is a little bit more technical, and it would help to pull out a flip chart and draw on that. You can have a variety. If you're talking about teaching children something, and then you go to a B-roll clip of a mom and a child working together, or if you're talking about renovating real estate and you happen to have some footage on your camera from a property that you're renovating or something, showing some B-roll like that while you're talking and then switching back to you, I mean, that can enhance it. The one thing that I want to caution though is a lot of times people think, oh wow, I saw this one YouTube channel and their production is so amazing, I could never do that, so I don't think I'm going to try. The reality is you could pull out your phone and film a selfie video, and as long as the lighting is decent, like you've got a window in front of you or something, as long as your camera is close enough to you that the audio is good, if you're sharing value, that's a wonderful place to start. Just talking head video, teach and answer their questions, and then all these other enhancements, maybe they will help your video perform an extra 5% better or an extra 10% better. But if you you let those things hinder you, well, then you're going to get 0% of those results.
Now, how important are how important is the title? Let me ask you that. Because it used to be back when I started YouTube, like that title was everything. Like I could change the title. I mean, literally, I remember this. I could change the title and then instantly rank differently based on that title for whatever keyword search term I was working on. How important is title now that they're transcribed? And by the way, I used to transcribe the videos and upload the transcription. I'm that old, right? Back in the day, where like that was a huge advantage because they weren't doing it. So titles, how important are titles now?
Yeah, titles are still super important, and that goes hand in hand with the thumbnail. With my strategy, because we're focusing so much on the search of these questions, we use the exact wording of the questions most of the time in our titles. Now, the disadvantage of doing that is sometimes the way people ask questions, it's not the most sensational of a topic. Like, hey, realtors never tell you this, or, something like that. So what I do to balance that is we'll put the sensational text in the thumbnail itself. So we might use that. Realtors never tell you this, and then it might be, I don't know, but whatever realtor or real estate topic that question people are asking. The title is pretty key, and it's worked really, really well of helping your video like show up at the top of search for that question. And then, over time, you can test and experiment, because some of your videos you want to use as marketing instruments, meaning you want people in search to find you, people who've never heard of you before. But as your channel grows and you're getting more and more subscribers, subscribers are people that you need to nurture, not market to. And so you can create a video and have a title that would be appealing to them and not appealing to search. So having a balance of those two types of videos, in both cases, the title is pretty critical, either for the search engine to really grab on and send you the right traffic early on. Because if YouTube sends the wrong traffic to your video, well, those people aren't going to like the video, right? So you got to, right from the beginning, make sure the right people are finding your video. Also, if you're nurturing, then you've got to make a title that's going to attract them. And it's like, yeah, they've seen some of your content, they like it, they're not going to watch every video, but oh, that title, yeah, that'll catch them. They'll really be interested in that.
So it's a mix of both, because you're right. I mean, it kind of has to be one or the other. You're either doing a title like, hey, realtors won't tell you this. Well, very catchy and appealing, curiosity wise, to pull somebody in, but that's not going to help us rank on YouTube. So what you're saying is a combination of both. You might want to start out with the one titles that kind of indicate what it is for the search engine. But then when you kind of doing other variants of that, then you might want to do titles that are a little bit more geared towards the actual person watching.
Yeah, there's a new feature that YouTube added in the last year where you can actually differentiate between videos that you want to show your subscribers and videos that aren't intended for your subscribers. This is so cool, and I discovered this. And you have to scroll way down. So when you're on the edit screen where you can put in the title and the description and whatnot, you have to scroll down, and then you have to hit another button that says see more. So then you scroll down further, but there's a checkbox that says something to the effect of, because I'm not looking at it now, but if you have that box checked, notify my subscribers and put this video in my subscription feed. So if you uncheck that box, I will often do that if I'm covering a topic that I cover a lot, but I'm covering it in a different way, answering different questions, that I'm like, my subscribers have probably heard enough of this topic from me, so I'm not going to send a notification to them, but I still want to do it because I want to show up in search. This is a marketing video.
I didn't know anything about that. It's interesting how much YouTube has changed over time. When you were talking about thumbnails, what are you finding works really well on thumbnails right now? Because what I found is that if I don't have really good thumbnails, and I didn't want to be in the thumbnail pictures, but that wasn't working. Right now, I got to be like all that kind of stuff. It's just like works, right? And so, and then memes get passed around of me or through the company. That's a whole other conversation for another day. So, what are you finding works really well on thumbnails right now to bring people in?
Yeah, having a picture that's close enough of you that you can see the whites of your eyes, that's going to be great. And you actually don't have to be over the top with your expression, like to show, crazy excitement. But our brains are really good at seeing like hundreds of different emotions. And so just a subtle raise of the eyebrow can actually say a lot. So if you match some words, we'll just use that same example of realtors never tell you this. And you're kind of looking like, uh, suspicious or something. Putting emotion into it does create that curiosity. So what we tend to want to do, and especially women, not to pick on women, but women love to just look beautiful and amazing on their thumbnail. They want every thumbnail to look like a portrait. And going back years ago, a gentleman that I was working with, he said, "Nate, why do you always make me look so dorky in the thumbnail?" And because he would be doing something that was like, what is he doing? And there's one thumbnail that I have in my mind that he was like doing this weird thing, making a weird face, but it got a lot of clicks. And so with women, I found I can't be that intense because they'll get upset by it. But there's a middle ground. Now, there's some cool features that YouTube's created to help because there is a science to it, but a lot of it is just an art or even luck. Like, I think this thumbnail will work. Let's put it on YouTube and see. And YouTube will tell you what the click-through rate is. But just this last year, we've been waiting for it since like 97 or something. And no, not 2007, 2017. So not that long. Since 2017, though, YouTube's been announcing we're going to allow you to split test your thumbnails. Okay, and it just barely came out in 24, where now you can actually upload two different thumbnails. So if you're thinking, I've got this idea, but I've got this second idea, which one should I go with? Well, you know what? Upload both of them, and YouTube will test them over the next 2 weeks, and it will let you know which one has a better click-through rate. So there's features like that that really help us out.
Speaking of that, are you using what additional tech? Because I've used TubeBuddy before in the past, some other things back in the day. What other tech do you use or recommend for clients that helps you through this process of creating and ranking?
Admittedly, none of the above. So TubeBuddy and vidIQ are the popular tools that are built for YouTube. And if and I do need to take a step back and explain one thing. There are two main strategies on YouTube. So strategy A is you want to build a channel that's entertaining, that you're generating ad revenue. So for that type of a channel where you don't have a business, but you're turning YouTube into a business and it's entertaining and your focus is ad revenue, for that type of channel, TubeBuddy and vidIQ can be helpful with creativity and things like that. But if your goal is, I've got a business and I'm going to leverage YouTube as a tool to generate leads for my business, and I'm going to focus on YouTube search, like Nate Woodbury says, then TubeBuddy and vidIQ are actually detrimental. The keyword tools on there are the old-fashioned style of keyword research. So I used to use TubeBuddy for the split testing of thumbnails. That's a great feature. But now that that's incorporated into YouTube, for the Nate Woodbury strategy, there's no reason to use those tools. I actually have them because I demonstrate the flaws in them. Just one example. I'll go to YouTube, I'll type in a topic in the search bar, and one of my clients' videos will rank at the top. Often they're in position 1, 2, and 3. And then we look over and the TubeBuddy plugin or the vidIQ plugin says your SEO score is 40 out of 100. And I'm like, I'm ranking at the top, but why is that 40? And you drill down and so I created my own scoring tools in a spreadsheet. So it's like, am I ranking at the top? And how many in this category are ranking at the top? So those tools are kind of misleading, unfortunately.
What are some of the other ones? I'm interested. On your spreadsheet, what are some of the other things that you are tracking that you feel are most important?
So I use a tree analogy, and I'll just explain that so then I can explain what I created in this spreadsheet. So my tree analogy, where you have the trunk that goes out to branches that goes out to the leaves, the trunk represents your core area of expertise, and the branches are the different ways you can break that down in different categories. Well, the leaves represent these questions that we're talking about. So as you do keyword research and you start to find all these questions, which I call leaf titles, okay, these leaves, as you start to find all these questions, you can actually group them by branch. And you'll look at two branches on this tree and you'll think, okay, now that I see all the questions on this one branch, I kind of get a sense of who these people are. Maybe their age or their experience level, or they're whether they're executives or employees, and you can really understand like, ooh, I like some of the questions on this branch, but there's others on here that's not really relevant. So then you compare that to the branch next to it, and you're like, wow, this one's interesting. I think I like every single one of these questions, and they're looking for me. They're looking for my services. So you can really hone in and focus on those branches. So I create a spreadsheet and I organize all the questions in groups like that I call branches. And so then it's kind of tedious, but I take every one of those leaf titles, every one of those questions, and I do a search on YouTube. Am I ranking for it? If it's at the top, I give it a yes. If I have to scroll down, then I put starting. And if I don't find myself or don't find my client, I put no. So then on this whole branch, I add up my score. How many yeses are there? And how many startings are there? I give yeses a score of 1 and I give startings a score of 0.25. So I might, in the beginning, when I'm starting out, I might have a score of 2 and there's a total of 30 that I'm trying to rank for. But then I come back a month later and my score might have turned to 6.25. And then a month later, I'm up to 13. It's been really helpful to score that way, because comparing it to the SEO score that vidIQ or TubeBuddy might give me, that doesn't really tell me anything. Tracking it this way in the spreadsheet, I know exactly, okay, this is a branch that I want to dominate, meaning anytime somebody asks a question on this branch, I want to be at the top on YouTube. And we just see those no's turning into yeses after about 3 or 4 months. It's like, yep, I dominate this branch. Now let's move on to the next branch.
So if I release a video and follow the steps we talked about so far, am I out? I just got to let it rip and it takes care of itself? Or are there other things I should be doing once that video is released to continue to help my ranking improve?
So the quickest answer is you can just let it sit and let it do its thing. If you've done your work in the preparation and the research before filming, you've done 90% of the work. Now, if your channel is brand new and you're just trying to like start to get that initial bit of momentum, there's a couple things that you can do, and there's a lot of things that you do not want to do. So the couple things that you can do are you can participate in the comments. Now, YouTube isn't nearly as social as the other social media like Facebook or LinkedIn. And so it's not going to work as well. You can't tag things or whatnot. And most of the time, people disable links. So you don't want to be really self-promotional. But if you can find your audience on other people's videos, find a channel that's similar to yours and you can engage in the comments there, then and if you find somebody that's made a comment, they're like, oh man, I want that person on my channel, then respond to them and just say, hey, yeah, that really makes a lot of sense. Just continue that conversation. So it's time consuming, but I've actually seen that to be pretty effective. And another thing that it's hard to know how well this works, but it's something that I try on new channels where you can create a playlist. So if you've launched a new episode on topic A, and you find on another channel, or maybe you do that search of where you want to show up on YouTube, do a search for that topic, see who's ranking at the top currently, and make sure you pick a couple of videos there that have a lot of views on it that are recent. Create a playlist and put their videos and your video in the same playlist. Now, what I'm attempting to do there is just tell the algorithm, look, my video is ranked with these videos and we're related here. Sometimes when you look at the analytics and you look at the source of traffic, it breaks down suggested, browse, search, external. Well, playlist is a source of traffic. So you can see, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of views from playlists, so that's one indicator. But my hope, and the thing that I can't track, but it's easy to do, is just I'm hoping that this will send a signal to the algorithm. And as I've done those little things, because I just launched another brand new channel at the beginning of this year. I produce over 60 different channels now. So on this brand new channel, we had like 30 views one day, 50 views the next day, and then it dropped down to 5 views. And then for several days, we had 0 views. Even when we launched another video, I'm like, all right, let me give it a nudge again. So I did those two things. I created some more playlists, and I just easy ones, like a few videos each. And I went and I engaged in comments and that kind of jump started again. But that's not something that I really have to do ongoing. It's just something that I found that helps in the beginning.
Do you use playlists a lot outside of this purpose? Like, I think, is it playlists that they call where you're grouping the videos? It
Yeah.
escapes me right now. Do you use those a lot? Because you're creating branches of topics. Do you make a YouTube playlist just for that branch, for example, with a lot of your content related to that?
There probably is a lot of good strategy out there, and admittedly, I haven't really focused on it. YouTube is really good at kind of curating. If they watch this video, then I think they should watch this one next. And YouTube will display it to them and test it. And if it works, it'll continuing to do that. And so that happens through both search, browse, and suggested. Those are kind of the main three sources of traffic on YouTube. So I put all of my energy into focusing on this search tactic, and then I just kind of trust the algorithm to do the rest. A lot of the times when I put my focus on those other areas, it's really elusive. And something that I did one time works, whether it's a playlist or whether it's, some strategy that really worked and a video took off. But then I'll do that same thing another time and it doesn't work, and that can become really discouraging. But when I focused on the search, it's just tactical, it's predictable, it's gradual, but the results that come from it, the leads that you generate from it are like referral quality leads. So it becomes very worthwhile.
Nate, we've talked a lot about videos. Is what about the overall channel? Advice towards ranking the overall channel, are the things we should be really focusing on: profile image, the whole main image of the play. I mean, like overall in the whole channel structure, things like that that you find that help us over not doing them.
Yeah, so have the channel icon, which is that little circular image, just have it be a picture of you, something that they can recognize. And the banner, have a picture of you. Uh, don't look too much like a business or look too corporate. When people have never heard of you before and they do a search and a video of yours pops up, you don't want them to feel like, oh, am I going to be sold to? And so you just want to be approachable, and let them know what's in it for them. So instead of really marketing yourself, because your website is the place where you're definitely going to market yourself, you're going to have your branding, your logo, promo videos. But on your YouTube channel, have them feel like you've got their back. This is for them. You're creating this to really help them. That's my best advice. Now, the side note that I'll throw in there is you'll start to get traffic from Google as well, because Google owns YouTube. And as we talked in the beginning, that Google has become a content search engine. But as you do this and you do this personal approach, you'll have your content also start ranking on Google, and you'll just start getting traffic there. And one thing that this is the first time I heard this, I believe it was just a week ago, but I was having a conversation with somebody on Zoom, and I asked them, "How did you hear about me?" And they said, "Yeah, it was from an AI tool." And I'm like, "Oh, tell me more." And he said, "Well, I was doing some research on perplexity.ai. I don't know what that is. I should probably go check it out." But he said, "I was researching Daryl Leaves." Now, by the way, Daryl Leaves is a friend of mine. Daryl Leaves is probably the coach you want to follow if you want to build an entertaining channel for lead generation. He's the coach of Mr. Beast. So this person I was talking with, he said, "Yeah, I was researching Daryl Leaves and considering his program, but Perplexity, the AI said, here's Daryl Leaves, but also there's Nate Woodbury, and here's what Nate Woodbury's strategy is about." So then he started researching me. So it's pretty cool that Daryl Leaves is a good friend of mine, and I often talk about the differences because you need to pick a lane. You need to either follow Daryl or follow Nate. You can't follow both, or actually you'll have problems. And so I've talked about that a lot, and so I'm guessing the AI picked it up. And so it's pretty amazing. You follow this strategy, create the right type of content. You'll show up in YouTube search, you'll show up on Google, and now you're starting to show up in the AI.
I love it. Nate, we're everybody. A lot of people are watching this, and we don't have enough time in 30 minutes to be able to cover all the things that we could cover. A lot of them are like, "Wow, I mean, I'm sure you could do a lot to help me be able to grow on YouTube." So, all those people that want to learn more from what we've talked about here today, and that want to talk a little bit more about you helping them grow their YouTube channel, what action should they take?
Well, I actually do a weekly webinar where we have a similar conversation as this, but I can do more visually and I can take you behind the scenes of a lot of YouTube channels. So that'd probably be the first step. The page where you can register for the webinar, it's called theleafstrategy.com. So theleafstrategy.com. And yeah, and after that, I'd love to explore people's businesses and see is the Leaf strategy a good fit for you? So we could jump on a one-on-one conversation after that.
Perfect. Nate, thank you so much for coming on with us today. Really appreciate it. This has been really enlightening.
Yeah, it's been enjoyable. You ask really good questions.
Thanks, Nate. All right. So listen, if you're watching this, go to theleafstrategy.com right now, theleafstrategy.com. I'm a visual person. So, even though this is visual and a lot of this will be on YouTube because you're seeing this, you're not actually seeing what he sees. So at theleafstrategy.com, you get a chance to kind of tune in and then actually see what he sees and sees real examples of this. So you can go, oh man, that's great. Oh, I realize that. And all you have to do is go to theleafstrategy.com and register for the free webinar. It's pretty cool. I mean, Nate, as you found here, is giving away information that he could easily charge thousands of dollars for through a course. So go and get this. I mean, we just scratched the surface on what you could learn. There's so many things like calls to action and so many other things that we didn't get a chance to dive into today. How do you get yourself camera ready? All these other types of things that you need to know. So make sure you go to theleafstrategy.com, theleafstrategy.com. Look, I've used YouTube to be able to power my company to 8 figures, right? When before I knew it, before I knew really YouTube became what YouTube became. And I can tell you that Nate has said about 19 to 27 different things that I'd never heard of before. I never even knew was possible. So you can imagine what will happen on one of these live webinars if you go to attend. Check it out right now, theleafstrategy.com. That's theleafstrategy.com. And make sure you register for his next event. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you check out theleafstrategy.com. Take care. Have a great day.